Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. We're live with YouTube. A little boring today. A little boring, right? Straight up. Huh? Wasn't that something? Oh man. Were you asking yourself like, wow, this market must be really strong. And like, wow, the economy must be really strong. And oh man, nah, nah. It was just machines. It was machines chasing machines every day. That's all this is. You know that. I know you know that. So why do anything else, right? Don't ask yourself why. Don't ask yourself who's buying this. That's the rational side of your brain keeping you from being the best trader you can be. Do not ask yourself. They want you to ask that question. They do. They want that. Because if you ask that, then they will give you an answer. They will give you a story. They will fill your head with such bullshit you won't be able to know. You won't know whether you're coming or going or coming. you know, I'm I so that's why we don't have 80,000 followers. That's why I'm not on CNBC because it's all bullshit. It would be a very short show. You know the guy Mark Haynes who subsequently died. Of all the people that were on CNBC, he was probably the best because he would call the bastards out. And he had, this was in the early 2000s. I damn near fell out of my chair. I liked the guy, never met him, but he was talking to one side and he said, you know, isn't it kind of all, it was early one morning. I mean, I was probably like before 7 or something. And he said, isn't it kind of ridiculous? It's all machines. I damn near fell out of my chair. I'm like, exactly. He knew, but he had a show to do. They said the guy used to go out on the back stoop and just smoke a cigarette just to get himself out of that studio. I can almost respect that. He knew that the people that were coming in were full of shit. He knew the network was full of shit. He knew the market was full of crap. Yet he was doing it to make a paycheck, and he held them to account as best he could. And passed away shortly after the '08 crash. But the rest of them, you gonna believe any of that? It is so ludicrous. But I'm sure this morning they are, oh boy, they're producers. The same producers that give us everything else, right? Probably attached in some story. You know, you know how many millions and millions of people get up every day? Business people, successful surgeons, successful business people. They get up, they're shaving, they're showering, they got that CNBC on in the corner of their bathroom or on their phone, and they're listening to that shit, that garbage. And then, what's the market doing? Okay, all right, good. I only got 10 more years of this. I only got 20 more years of this, and then I'll be able to retire. You think so? They think so. They hope so. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news to them, but you know what? It could be tomorrow. It could be the next 3 weeks. When Swing Machine hit its high level, it was the year of the COVID, and the market was running like an SOB in January. We're like, what the hell is going on? We got this COVID thing. We knew all about the carbon monoxide poisoning, or not poisoning, but that they were burning the bodies in China and stuff. We knew that in the first week of January, but the market didn't care. Kept going up, kept going up, kept going up. Like, what in the hell? And they were talking about shutdowns and the market didn't care, kept going up, kept going up, kept going up. It's no big deal. And everybody's, even Trump, let's call a spade here. Even Trump was saying, it's just going to blow over. And Larry Kudlow, that old crank. Boy, Matt, I mean, I think they brought him in right at about that time. Yeah, it's not going to have an impact. Only 5 or 6 people, and we're thinking, wow, I don't know, I don't know. I can remember Susie asking me, I can remember other members like, I don't know, I think it's going to have an impact. I mean, I think it is, but I don't know. Right now, it isn't. The market kept running. Our systems were all green January. And then on February 24th, middle of nowhere, February 24th, I don't know why. Suddenly, our Nicholas timing model, boom, triggered. I'm like, huh. Made a nightly video. Now, our members know this story. So if they're listening, they know. They saw it real time. We have members that have been with us, certainly through that. And it goes off. And I remember saying that, and I'm like, wow, I don't know. Maybe this is it. I don't know. 3 weeks later, 3 weeks later, the S&P was down 30%. 30%. Our systems were up hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, but it's all leverage, right? It's all leverageable, right? You want to be up millions, then you play accordingly. You want to put, whatever. I should say all measurable. It's all scalable. And then we got down in the market. So the market at its high was about 3,200. And then it went down to like 2,100. And then just as fast, they just, they hit the floodgates, the gas pedal. We're going to flood the zone with money. Maybe they've been flooding the zone with money here in front of the debt ceiling. Maybe they've been doing that, Who knows? Who knows? Who cares, right? Who knows? And then the market came roaring back. So that's probably saying, wow, you know what? I'll do nothing. All right, yeah, doing nothing for the last 10 years, 15 years has paid off. It has. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if you came into the market blindly in 2008 and did nothing, you're probably sitting pretty damn good. You're sitting pretty good. Now, did you go down 30% and do nothing? I don't know. Maybe you did. Hey, all the power to you. And it came back quite a bit. Yeah, down to 2,100. It's not back up to 4,600. What if it does it again? Could it go to 2,100? A 50% decline? I could, but it'll come back. Oh, maybe. Maybe not. What if it goes down 80 and 90%? Oh, that can't happen. Never happened. That can't happen. Done. Oh, no. The NASDAQ hit in 1999 just a little over 5,000, 5,014. We had 7,500 public companies. We don't even have that many now. The Berlin Wall was coming down. We had glasnost. I mean, we had the internet. Price, we even had Viagra coming out. I mean, everything with the promise. It was, what a time. What a time to be alive. And to be putting money into the market. It's going to be great. It's never coming back. NASDAQ's at 5,000. We're going to 7,000. We're going to 9,000. We're going to 10,000. You know what? We're going to go to 16, 13,000. Guess what? Then they said, well, it's going to be the the year 2000 and everything's going to crash. We got through that. It didn't happen. Oh, we got through it. Everything's fine. It's going to be great. Kramer was on, Maria Bartiromo. She was the stock babe. She'd come out and talk to Kramer, Jim Kramer. And he was touting CMGI, an incubator for the internet stocks. Just get all your money into CMGI because they got all the internet. And oh my God, we had America Online, we had Yahoo, we had Global Crossing, JDS Uniphase. We had 3Com. This company 3Com, it had a Palm Pilot. Imagine that, a Palm Pilot. You didn't have to, had one of those daytimers. You didn't have to write anything down in a daytimer. You had this little device and you just wrote your shit down in that. Oh my God, they took that stock from 10 to 100. It was great. We wrote it. Huge. And then it wasn't. The NASDAQ came down 90%. 90. This is before 9/11 now. It came from 5,000 down to 900. Why? Why did it do that? I don't have a fucking clue. Excuse the French. I don't have a clue. In fact, if you ask anybody today, why did it do that? They don't have a clue. Nobody knows. And they don't agree on it. It just did. It just happened. It just did. And then we start to come out of it. Everything's looking great. I remember Susie and I were on beautiful vacation. I'm like, wow, Susie, it's 2000 and it was 2001. It was the fall of 2001. I'm like, whew, we're getting through it. We're getting ready. We're buying things up. We're going to get going now. In fact, we were in Carmel. It was at Pebble Beach. I was trying to get out on the Pebble Beach golf course. It was a great time. Great time. We had a great vacation. Future's going to be so bright. Everything. You know what day it was? September 10th, 2001. Yep. We were going to the Hearst Castle that morning. I remember Susan gives me a nudge. Say, hey, Donnie, you got to turn the TV on. Of course, we're 4 hours behind. She goes, I don't know if it's a movie or something, but there's some bad shit going on TV. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, what are you talking about, Susie? I don't know. Something about New York. I don't know. I'm like, I turned it on. I'm like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now, we had cell phones, but I remember calling the broker. This was my first phone call. Couldn't get through to the son of a bitch. It was like 8:30. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, well, it's a little too late now anyways. I couldn't get hold of him. Do you know the market was closed for 5 days? People forget the market was closed for 5 days. We had all we could do to get back, right? There's a lot of other things going on in the world. But did you know the market could close for 5 days? We weren't even sure when the hell it was going to open again. There's no guarantee. The market can close for weeks at a time, for months at a time. It absolutely can. Read the small print. Not only, by the way, not only can the markets close, individual stocks can get halted. Not for a couple of hours, but for days and days. True story. I buy 1,000 shares of Boston Scientific, BSX, several years ago. Piece of shit was trading at about 43, 44 bucks. I buy 1,000 shares. I have no intention of being in it, maybe but for a few hours. I was being, well, so it goes back some ways ago because that was not a very good, efficient use of capital. To use 40 grand to trade a stock that I only want to hold for a few hours. So that was early. That was a long time ago when I think about it. But I did it. The lessons I learned. And suddenly the stock stops trading. What the hell is that? And then it says it's been halted. Susan's like, what's that mean? I'm like, I don't know. And they halted it for material news. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. That's never a good sign, especially when I'm long. You know, of course, it's not going to be good news, right? It couldn't be that they were going to get bought. No, it's got to be something else. Do you know they halted that son of a bitch not for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? That thing was halted for almost 2 weeks. I was furious. Furious. Did anybody care? No. I don't even think it got reported on. I can remember calling CNBC. What the hell? They mentioned it. And I found out later that, yeah, the CEO of a company, if it is something material going to impact, he can contact and he can get the shares of his stock halted. It's not a very good thing because I'll be honest with you, as soon as the son of a bitch opened, I dumped his shares. It hit me for a few grand. And I never bought or sold his damn shares again, ever, nor would I ever. I was furious. But that sort of thing can happen. There's a lot of things that can happen. It's also one of the reasons why we trade in the market. I'm playing the ball where it lies. I'm not trading the lies. There's a difference. This morning, when we were live, remember when the market was starting to go? It was like around 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm like, the NASDAQ's pretty strong. NASDAQ was long. If you stayed with us, the 5-minute NQ, and I remember, so that son of a bitch was up almost $4,000 on one mini. And by the way, we didn't take it. I didn't take it. I didn't like the looks of it. I didn't take it, nor did the machine. But we're trading the machine. But we sat much of it out. I took one trade. Off of the ES, off of a swing machine, and that deposited that much money there, 596.40. And then we just simply waited. And I told you all this morning that we were running one program on the NQ, and that's the first trade up there now. Now I could turn it off and we'd be up 1,600 for the day. And we will be in cash at the end of the day. I'm going to let it run here a little bit. What you have to think about, you don't have to think about this. You don't. So I guess, when I have an opportunity to chat with people or to do the YouTube, you have to think about what it is you want to do and what it is you want to achieve in the market. I'm not suggesting that everybody come to us. One, we can't handle it, right? Because we can't. We only accept a limited number of people. So I'm telling you that right now. We don't accept everybody. We don't. But you have to give some thought to what you think it is and how you want to proceed. If you want to, get in and do a little buy, a little selling, do a little part-time, throw some things around, a couple times a week, couple times a month, all the power to you. Have fun, have a good time. Don't come near us. If you, you want to buy, you just want to buy some options, you want to do this, probably don't come near us. Probably don't. If you want to, you want to invest, you want the next Google, the next Amazon, you want to, kick the tires, you want to talk about, Tesla's got a, and all that shit, a narrative, then probably don't want to come to us either. You don't. But if you think all that's bullshit and you don't trust the market, you don't trust the media around it, the financial media, you don't trust anybody, including maybe me, as far as managing your money, because we don't manage money, right? So there's no level of trust there necessary. I'm not going to manage your money. I'm not going to give you specific recommendations to buy or sell anything. No. Nope. I'm willing to share our experiences like this, and I'll share our tools, and you can adopt them and not adopt them. You can adapt them. You can, in a quest, your own quest, to do what we're doing and hopefully do it even better. And we talked about it this morning. We've certainly had people that have absolutely blown us away. I always learn from every person that comes to us, and sometimes I don't learn enough. Some have been our biggest success stories, and also maybe my biggest failures in terms of maybe not listening enough to what they had to say and what they were doing. That is a beautiful thing. But if this resonates with you, you want to control your own destiny. You don't want to listen to the financial media. You don't want to subscribe to a whole bunch of BS. We had a number of people say, I remember one in particular said, Don, I've been subscribing. I get this alert service. This guy sends me like 10 to 20 picks a night and, option trades. And then from there, I pick a handful and I put them on, and that's what I do. And I'm like, okay, how long you been doing that? 5 years. Okay. How'd it work out for you? Nah, not so good. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, I made like $30,000 and then I lost $30,000 and I'm basically even. You've been doing it for 5 years. Yeah. Okay. Have you learned anything? Not a thing. And he laughed. Not a thing. He was like brutally honest. Not a damn thing. I have no idea how he picks them. I have no idea how the hell I pick them. And I haven't learned a goddamn thing. I'm like, well, that's not so good. That isn't so good. You know? Here, once we get our website up, and by the way, we're not new for those that might be coming by. Our website is in a little state of transition right now. I'm not real happy about that. We had a website, or we have a website. We parked that one. We're trying to roll out a new one, and there seems to be a little issue with the hosting company. So they're trying to get to the bottom of it. They tell me they're going to. Hopefully, we get it wrapped up here in the next 24 hours or so. So bear with us there, by the way. But we're not new. We've been doing this a long time. But how I think we are different is if you think about how we structure our membership and how we do this and learning to trade your own game, we're putting our trust in you. We're putting our trust in you. Do you trust yourself to do this? It won't be me. It won't be Susan. It won't be any one of our other members. It will rely on you. It will. And it's a heavy load. It is. I know that. I've been through it. And there are times when the market is brutally frustrating. I get it, right? It is, but we just, hey, you just you learn from that. You learn from those challenges. I mean, this morning was, getting text messages from various members saying, "Isn't it a joke?" It was a joke. They ran the NASDAQ up 200 straight points, straight up. Who do you think was doing that? Not that it matters. Do you think a bunch of people were on their bag phones and calling their brokers and brokers, buy me some Apple, buy me some stock, yeah, I'm buying it, yeah, I'm buying. Hell no. You know in your heart of hearts that isn't what's moving these markets. The machines got control over everything. I mean, and soon to have even more control with AI. And some of our programs do have AI in there. It's I'm not saying that we're going to put Citadel out of business, but these guys have unlimited firepower. Unlimited. They're trading thousands and thousands of these leverage contracts, much bigger than this. Do you think some individual person buying and selling a share is impacting the direction of anything? If you do, then you probably think Biden got 81 million votes. And I can't help you. Oh, God. It's silly. It isn't real. Well, then what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? See, the others are they won't tell you that. I will. It would be dishonest not to. They'd be saying, well, then if it's rigged, Don, if it's rigged, if it's a scam, if it's not real, well, then what the hell are you doing? I'm staying on the side that's rigged. That's all. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Play their game. We have a huge advantage. You saw it this morning. I didn't play. They were running the market. Did I think and say, shit, I should have bought it? Yeah, I did for a minute. Yeah, I could have bought it. I would have been up, but I didn't. No big deal. No big deal. I'll get it on the way back. But what if it didn't come back? Maybe it didn't. All right, I lose an afternoon, I lose a day. But it'll be back tomorrow. It'll be back up the next day or the other. That's all. There are 22 trading days in a month. No, excuse me, 24. If you count Sunday nights. In futures markets, because we can trade on Sunday nights. What a great time to trade too, by the way. If you take off Friday, they're at 20. Now, I don't like thinking in these terms, but $100 a day is $2,000 a month. And you can do the math from there. 200, 300, 400. If we stopped, we could close the trade right now. We'd have 1,600. And we had 2 trades today. There does require a patience, a discipline to wait. It is, maybe you'll have a better appreciation for this. Truly, stockmarketcaddy.com came about because I was bored shitless. It was like 2011, 2012. I'm like, Susie, can you believe this? What we had done, right? Susie and I started this in the early 2000s, doing this with our own capital and doing our own thing. And we had our frustrations. It was just the two of us. There wasn't Twitter. There was no Twitter. YouTube was around, but nobody was really using it. There was no stock twits. There was really nobody to talk to. Nobody, really. There just wasn't. And there were some other services that were still around. They were very, very expensive. But, we had a lot of self-doubt. We absolutely did have a lot of self-doubt about, we doing the right thing. There were many a times that I wanted to quit in the early things, but fortunately, Susan had no self-doubt, and she never had a quit in her, ever. She never did. So it's almost like, Don, we're not going back. We are not going back, Don. And, and so it was like failure is not an option. And it was good. It was really, really good. So Stock Market Caddy came about was because I was absolutely just bored shitless. And when you're trading like this, this morning was pretty boring, wasn't it, guys? I don't know. If you were long, it was good. It was fun, right? And maybe now you're grinding like, oh man, am I going to get my money? Oh boy, I bought all those call options or whatever, right? But it is, it's a hoot. It is a hoot. And so Stock Market Caddy came about because I thought, you know what, maybe there are other people like us that want to get control over this part of their life, and they want to see what we're doing, and they'd like to now we didn't always make our tools available too, by the way. We didn't. You used to have to patch in. So we were using Zoom before Zoom was Zoom, but we now make them available to all of our members, and they can, it's crazy. It's really fun to talk to them. They will take our tools and they will mix and match them and mix them. And we got radars. This is swing machine radars for futures, but we got radars for options, and they do all kinds of things, and have had, now some have had frustrations, and they share that, the common, very, very common retort. And it just is, not everyone, but a lot is in the beginning. It's like, Don, I don't get it. I see swing machine is up thousands and thousands of dollars every stinking day, Don, and I'm only making $500, or I'm only getting 300, or I'm only getting, and we talked that through, right? We talked that through, and where that ultimately goes is they learn to relax, they learn to just settle in, and it develops a confidence, and then suddenly they're on these big fat trades and never looking back. But we have had others that have taken winnings from futures and trading point and figure, and one person in particular, and his name is Logan, and did like unbelievable, like just blew us all away. Maybe blew himself away in a good way. He's done, and did it in the crypto space. So it doesn't matter. Once you go down the road of being and we will say this, I can't promise anyone an outcome. I wish I could. I really do. I can't. and we don't manage money and we don't make specific recommendations. And I've had people send us like, what the hell do you do? Well, we try to, we try to teach, right? We try to share what we're doing for you to take and adopt and or filter out and do what you want to do. I'm okay with that. I would just ask, don't forget me, right? You do something a little different and, hey, Don, maybe you ought to do it this way. I listen. I listen, and I'm a very curious person. And if you're a very curious person, I think, that's also good. I've always been curious about stuff. And I'm a skeptical person though, too, very skeptical. And I think that's good. I think that's a good thing to be. And where was I going? It's just, it's not for, I guess, for everyone, but I guess where I was going to say is that we try to share our perspective for you to be able to adopt and apply your own approach. But what we can promise you is if you do come with us for the ride and you go through the Q school, at the end of the Q school, you will know what you're capable of doing. You will know one way or the other, you will know. And in fact, we don't let you even consider joining as an annual member until you've gone through the Q school. It's in your interest to go through it. Everyone's got to go through it once. And the information that you learn is transferable. We've been asked that. It is transferable. And you could certainly take it and go off and do very, very well. We hope that you'll become an annual member at the end, though. We hope you'll be excited about what you've learned and excited to get going and say, and then you make a much more informed decision about becoming an annual member, and you feel better about what you're doing, hopefully. But you answer that question. The question you have today, if you're hearing us for the first time or someone is, the question you have is any of this going to help me? That would be the question I have. It's interesting. I see what he's doing. I see that damn machine is up like in 40 minutes, just made $500 and like in minutes here. And I could have made that. I could have done that. But the question you have is, can I do it? So what we try to do is during that Q school is to set up the structure so that you have an opportunity to give it your level best. And we control the view, right? We didn't always do that. In the past, we gave much more independence during the Q school, and I think it was a little overwhelming for someone. So we control the view. So we want you to feel good about what you're learning, and then at the end of that Q school, I get it. I know what I want to do. This is something I want to do, and so we're basically trying to give everybody the opportunity to say, hey, no, you're a nice guy. I've learned a lot, but no, this isn't going to work for me. And that's, but at least you have learned a lot. During the Q school, we were with you for 3 weeks, for a minimum of an hour a day. It's about all you're going to want, but you'll have a live view. 3 weeks, that's a long time to ask questions. We want you to, and that's why there's no rush. We say 3+ weeks. We want you to see as much of the market and as much of the stuff that we want to present so that you have ample opportunity to formulate your questions and ask us your questions. I like to be challenged. It's fun. I'm okay. I'm totally okay with it. And that's kind of what we're about. And then at the end of that, then you're in a better position to make an informed decision as to whether or not you want to go forward. So we try to structure it, and even our monthly membership is month to month, so that we're trying to give people an opportunity to say, nope, this isn't for me, and this isn't something I want to do. But and we're trying to move. Everyone within the sound of our voice starts the way that we started too. As a trader, you start in the realm of what we call discretionary trading. You're trading what you see, what you think, what you hear, or you're trading what others think, what others see, what others hear, and you go with your gut and you throw a trade on or two. Some work, some don't. You may do that for a few years. You may have some big hits, just, being on the right side of a bull market or being on the right side of a bear market can make one believe that they're smarter than they are. Right. I had not a member, but I had a buddy, and this goes back during the bull market. We're really in a bull phase in the 2013s, 2014s, 15s, and he said, I gave my son, in his 20s, a block of money, and oh man, he really, really, he can really pick stocks. Well, anybody in a bull market, is going to be able to pick stocks. As a trader, what you have to be able to do, can you do it day in and day out? That's, as a trader, you need to be able to create cash flow. There's a difference. There's a big difference. We're not, now you could use these tools. You certainly could use these tools from an investment standpoint, as a portfolio management standpoint. You absolutely could, but even there, you do need to learn, because if you're making your decisions on money at whatever level, then you are trading greed and fear, fear and greed, and you will lose. You will lose it. They got it figured out. It's like that carnival game. They got it figured out, and they do, and the very insidious part of all this, they do nothing to educate you. In fact, they give you all the information and education that they do give you, which isn't an education, is everything that you don't want to be focused on. The economy, inflation, deflation, and all that. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Just BS. BS. You want to be able to track the money flow. And that's what we do. So I kind of rambled on there. Today was a very classic day for that. In fact, the market has been classic here. It's been a really nice trading market. It's the absurdity of the market these last 30, 40 days is really on display. And I love pointing it out, because I think it's, and I love these people that are online. I see them, you see them, and they have thousands. They got 20, 30,000, 50,000, 80,000 people following them, and they listen. The Peter Schiffs of the world, there's George Gammons, the Bitcoin crowd. They got a whole bunch of them, and they all go down to Miami with the pretty people and drink cosmopolitans, and oh boy, and they talk about the Fed this and the Fed that, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I get it, but not in a million years would I ever invest or trade a nickel based on any of that. I would be out of my mind to do that. And but people do. And people, but we're not. So I should point out, we're not brokers. We're not financial advisors. We're not making specific recommendations to buy or sell anything. I'm not even recommending that this is something that you should do. Probably most people shouldn't do it. It can be very frustrating, can be very, especially if you come in with a whole bunch of preconceived ideas and notions and stuff. There are some things that, most everything that comes out of Wall Street is lies, but not everything. Not everything. There are some things that are pearls. How I will connect with this. I was going to say Frank Sinatra. It's Frank Santana. I'll answer the question in a minute, Frank. What was I? Um, I lost my train of thought. I see I don't have moderators and I see the comment, which is fine. Um, what was I just saying? It was something. Oh, geez. When I saw your name, I was thinking Frank Sinatra. As somebody, I thought that was kind of a funny name. Well, I'll answer your question. How do I connect with this? I guess what I'm saying is that it's not meant for everybody. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I wouldn't. It is. But for very independent people, and you don't have to be a programmer. We do a lot of the programming. But if you like that sort of thing, if you like computers, yeah, Frank, I'll just say this too. If you go to the website right now, it looks like crap at the moment. So I'm just going to say this for those that are within sound of our voice. We had an old website for about 10 years, and we're we're trying to launch a new one as we speak. And there's an issue right now with the hosting company. And so right now, if you go to the website, there's some issues there. The way it doesn't look right, and but so we're kind of in a little limbo. We hope to get it wrapped up. They tell me the next 20. They've been telling me the last 24 hours for like the last 2 days, but so there is some information that you might be able to get access to. But and we've been around a long time, right? We've been doing this since the early 2000s. Stock Market Academy has been around since about 2011, 2012. But it isn't necessarily for everyone, but if you are an independent worker, if this kind of approach resonates with you, I'm happy to answer any questions. The folks that do really well are very independent. They're very mature. They understand the risk rewards. They understand that they've already come to grips with what the market is and isn't. We joke about it. I think you get to that place, in your trading, and they merely want to trade something. They want to buy something and sell it higher, or they want to short something and buy it lower, and that's something could be anything. It could be lumber, it could be soybean meal, it could be coffee, it could be the S&P 500, it could be options, it just doesn't, that part of it doesn't matter. We're out to collect these things at the moment that are called dollars. I'm not saying that folks should, keep all their assets in dollars or anything of that. I'm not saying anything one way or the other on any of that. And I don't really have, an opinion. I don't really have an opinion other than maybe on gold. I think on long term, I think gold is just fine. But, or on some of the harder commodities, but like on the crypto space, I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish. Is it a bubble, not a bubble? You know what? There's tons of money to be made on bubbles, both getting long and fading them. And so, who cares? We do have a member. His name is Logan. He may actually be listening. And Logan, he made about as the story goes, he happened to tell me about $20,000. This was back maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and in the futures trading. And he said to me, he said, "Hey, Don," he said, and he had not traded anything, right? And he turned a little bit of kitty into about 20 grand. And he calls me up and he took to Point and Figure. We use Point and Figure. And he said, "Hey, Don, I'm thinking about getting in the crypto space." I'm like, "Oh, shit." Now, this is like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I just listened, and I said, "What are you thinking of doing?" And he goes, "Well, there's this crypto called Ethereum." And this was before Ethereum was Ethereum. I had heard of it. I didn't have any means of trading it myself at that time. But I pulled it up on TradingView, and in fact, I I mimicked his trade. And he said, Donna, I'm thinking I'm going to take the 20 grand. I'm going to buy 1,000 coins of Ethereum. It was trading at $20 a coin, just under 20. It was 19 and some change. And I said, okay. He goes, what do you think? And I said, well, okay. I said, I don't have an opinion on Ethereum or crypto, which I don't even to this day. I really don't. I said, the only thing that I would be concerned with, Logan, is this is long before FTX and all that, is the exchange. I'm not sure the skeptical person in me. I don't trust my bread with any one entity, institution, whether it be crypto or whatever the hell it be. I just don't. I'm just not, So I said, be careful with the exchange. And if you make your bread, get your bread out and get it someplace secure. And long story short, that's what he did. And one of the last times I talked to him, Ethereum was trading at about $4,000 a coin, and he was laughing and just having a great time. And there's a gentleman in his 30s at the time, and had a couple of kids, and they had bought a huge motor home, and they were just traveling the country for a couple of years. And he's like, Don, I am done. And he said to me, he said, Don, do you remember when I first started? I said, I do, Logan. And he said, do you remember? He goes, how nervous I was trying to trade for $200 or $300. I said, I do. He goes, Don, he goes, in the last year or two, he goes, I have had trades where I have made over $100,000 and I didn't even bat an eyelash. I said, I believe that too. I believe that to be the case. Now I don't know where Ethereum is or isn't, but I'm sure that Logan is totally fine because Logan assembled the money through his trading and then assembled the position that he had in Ethereum through trading. And he knew how to use point and figure, and he knew how to protect himself, and he got it. So, those $100,000 trades were I'm sure profitable trades. So he was one of our biggest successes, and at the same time, maybe one of the biggest failures, because something, I didn't put a nickel into Ethereum, not a nickel, and I could have easily. I could have mimicked his trade, and I didn't. But we're all in a different place in life, and I don't, so it's very individual, but we're not here looking for that. And in fact, we had a program called, we built it around Logan, actually. We called it Logan's 5 Easy Lessons. And because he came to us when we first started Stock Market Caddy, and he called me up one Sunday and said, I've never traded a thing, and I want to learn. And so I'm like, wow, I didn't know, I didn't think I was going to get a phone call like that with somebody who had never traded anything. I didn't expect that. And so what happened was I said, well, Logan, what I'll do is I'll make you this video for about an hour. I charge you like $175 for it, and don't send me the money for it. I'll send you the video. And if you like the video, then you send me the money, and then I'll make you another one. And it's like, that's a good deal. I'm like, okay. And we didn't even know how many videos we're going to make. And I said, I think we'll both know when we're done. And we actually did 5. We did 5, and that's what we did. And it was called, there's the golf book, Hogan's 5 Easy Lessons, turned out to be Logan's 5 Easy Lessons, which we still have, but we incorporated that into Q School and made it even much, much bigger and stronger. And that's what he did. And that's what he did. And it made us better. And but Logan was the type of guy who was also very curious. And by the way, we didn't have Zoom either. So this is like years ago before COVID and stuff. And I was talking to Logan. I said, Logan, I'd really like to be able to shoot my screen to you. And he's like, Don, you need to use Zoom. I'm like, what the hell is Zoom? That's how we got to be using Zoom. He made all kinds of other suggestions to us that we incorporated. And so, it was a mutual admiration club. Young guy, didn't have any trading experience, but was very mature, very curious, very committed, and just had a great outlook. on everything. It's like, I'm just not gonna, it's just, you know, um, so anywho, Logan's story. But you're welcome to peruse the little website that we got right now, albeit there's a couple of little videos that are accessible, but we'll have that honed up, cleaned up here before the week is over, I hope. Anyone who wants to give me a call can at 813-758-8263. Happy to chat with you. And that's kind of who we are, what we're about. But real interesting day, right, in the market, a little bit of volatility, a little bit. We can, Swing Machine is just one of 70 tools that we use. It's a radar, but we can literally trade this without a chart. But if we use a chart, it's even better. We can come up here and let me slide this up, and we can come up, and I want to look at the S&P with you and see where the S&P is on a daily. S&P is trading at 4173. You see this? And the trend is long. It's been long for 36 days. That's what that means, 36. So Swing Machine went long 36 days ago at 4027.81. Now, it says $145. That actually equates, because you can't trade individual shares of the S&P, it's 145 points. So this signal on a daily basis is generated at 145 points. So if you bought a call option, back here, for 40 days, you're probably up about 14 to 15 grand. One of them. But on a daily basis, the trend is strong. It's green all the way across, and it's coming across. But notice where it is on our fear in greed meter. It's at 80. So it's long in the tooth. And as it pushes up into euphoria, now it may or may not get into euphoria. It may not. But if it does, the likelihood that it's going to come back is about 95%. So we're getting up there. Now the VIX, we do like to keep an eye on the VIX, and let's just throw the DIX. There we go. No, we don't want that. The VIX. We're going to throw the VIX onto a daily, and that is short. Notice that. And it went short 38 days ago. That's what's got the bears so frustrated, right? And it is frustrating. I want to sell the market. Why? Because prices fall faster than they go up. But for the last 38 days, the VIX hasn't given us shit. The market, is complacent, and it's trending down, going all the way back to the 28th. Now, this is what's important, though. It's at 20. So the market's at 80. The VIX is at 20. It's perfectly balanced. It is balanced. And about 2 days ago, it wasn't balanced. And we cautioned our members, like, we're going to get another distinct move. Could be down, could be up, but it's not balanced. Right now, it's perfectly balanced. And it could just continue to melt. I mean, we could do this tomorrow. We could push up. If we find ourselves in a situation where the S&P gets into euphoria and the VIX gets into panic, it won't be there very long. And our members they're watching it now. And they have alerts set, and they're watching it. Because if that happens, we don't know, but if that happens, then we will want to come in with options over the next 30 to 45 days and sell the market. And we'll get a nice big fat tuna in the boat. But that's where we are. And but that's, so we can change the interval and trade options or trade stock. By the way, for those that are listening on YouTube, and I'm going to throw this back into a 5-minute though and slide this back down. If you have a stock and you're skeptical, which you should be, if you want me to plug in a stock in the interval, just let me know in the chat function, Frank, if Frank is still there, and I'll be happy to do it. And we'll show you the signal that Swing Machine has would have given you. And we'll do it real time with a 60-second delay, not to trade, but to see from an educational standpoint, which I'm more than happy to do. It's kind of like, showcasing a baby. I'm not, I didn't take this trade off. The machine has control of it. I'm going to let the machine handle it, right? And that's easier said than done. We talk about discretionary trading, mechanical trading, robotic trading. Yeah, there's no jumping the shark. You have to learn how to fly the plane before you can use the autopilot. You just because you have an autopilot doesn't mean you can fly the plane. So you do need to learn. You need to have some piloting time. You need to you you need to be able to sit in the chair or on the treadmill or have a standing desk and like, okay, the market's grinding higher, grinding higher, grinding higher, grinding higher, and you need to be able to sit it out, or grinding lower, sit it out, or sit on a winner. Like, man, I'm up like 1,000, I'm up 2,000, man, I'm up $4,000 on a mini. Wow. You got to learn to be able to sit on that. If you're constantly like, oh, wow, geez, that was up $1,200. Wow, I would have taken my money. Or wow, I'm up 300. I better take it. Or, um, you'll never quite get there. You'll always be reacting to the money. And so that's one of the big things that we will try to focus on and try to help you during the Q school, is to learn not to focus on the money. And it's hard because everyone's got you focused on the money. But you don't do that for whatever job you do. Chances are, you get paid to do whatever it is you do. And, and I used to teach surgeons, how to do surgery, or, advanced instrumentation. When I was doing the job, I didn't think about the money. I just did the job, right? So when we're trading, we just trade. Don't think about the money. We get you to think about measure performance in another way. But everybody that is new to trading and everyone that else you're going to listen to, what do they all do? They all focus on the money. Run from that. Run from them. You'll be doomed. I cannot tell you. And in Madison Avenue and Wall Street, know that you will do that. And they play to it, and it will frustrate you to no end. And we have some steps, some techniques to try to overcome that. And you will spend the rest of your trading life, aware of it, and to varying degrees and varying, just like Logan's story, a little bit, he says, hey, you remember how scared I was over 200 or 300? And, I had trades of 100,000, I didn't bat an eyelash. Well, that just didn't happen. He didn't go from week 2 to week 3 doing that. And this is all scalable. But he scaled in, he scaled up, and then he also acquired his experience, and with that experience came his confidence. I can't give anybody confidence. That's an acquired skill, but we can help hopefully set up the structure for that. Make sense? I hope so. All right, did a lot more talking there than I wanted to, but see, this is kind of good because it's kind of a quiet day, kind of a boring day, right? It's kind of a boring day. But if anybody wants me to punch in, now we can come in here as an example, like on the ES, right? We can change this from a 5-minute to a 60-minute. Maybe you don't want to trade a 5-minute. Now, 5-minute trade, we actually trade the 1 minute in the direction of the 5, right? So 27 minutes ago, this went long. Maybe some of you took that trade. I hope you didn't, but maybe you did, and you'd be up 350. But if I change this, we can change this from a minute to 3 to 5 to, we can use ticks and transactions, but I'll put it on a 60-minute. And we can build alerts to put it on your phone. Right? So you could set the ES, you could have this running at home, and the 60-minute went long 27 hours ago. What time was that? See, this is a shortcut. This 27, the long T, tells us 27 hours ago. It was at noon yesterday. At what price? 41.45. If you took this with a mini, you're up $4,000. I'm sorry, $2,000. Excuse me, $2,000. If you did it with a micro, you're up 200. If you did it with 10 minis, you're up 20,000. If you bought a call option, depending upon your expiration, if you did 0 days to expiration and you bought the call yesterday to expires tomorrow, you could be up, over 100%, right? You could be up huge. And you want to be varied in what you can do. How about the NQ? So if you want me to put in a stock, we can. So we'll put the NQ in a 60-minute. The 60-minute on the NQ went long 73 hours ago. You shitting me, bagger? No, I'm not. At noon on the 15th, how much is that up? $7,000. Where is it? It's long, it's trending up, and yeah, it's at 70, but it was up in here. Every time it gets up in here, it pulls back, and then it'll run back up there, and it'll pull back, and it'll run back up there, and it'll pull back, just burning everybody out. It's got nothing to do with the 10-day moving average or the 5-day or the MACD or the quad 1, quad 2 bullshit. It's bullshit. But you're up $7,000. You got 10 of them, you're up $70,000. Right. But I'm not suggesting anybody do that. You'd be so nervous, that, don't do that. Don't abuse margin. And then the Dow, we can do that here. Well, I can't because of Zoom. I got some window dressing on Zoom, so I can't see my 60-minute. But so I'll put this back to a 5. But if you want me to plug in a stock, we can do that too on a stock. And so as an example, let's go to Apple. I tell you what, let's do Tesla. I have no idea what Tesla is. So let's look at Tesla. Now we're not going to trade Tesla on a 5-minute, but maybe we want to trade Tesla on a 1 hour. Okay, so if you traded Tesla on a 1 hour, Swing Machine suggested getting long Tesla 13 hours ago at 10:30 a.m. yesterday at 171.82. It's up $3.43. Now this is not leverage, but you've got $3.5 in the trade. If you bought a call option you bought a 172 call option that expires on Friday, you're doing pretty good. You can probably take your money off. That hard. That simple. That whatever. I don't know. But if you want us to plug in any other stock, I'll put that back on, and we'll put this back to a 5-minute. So bear with us on the website. Like I say, we spent the last month building out the new website. We're doing that ourselves, and then we were to migrate it, and we had some plugins on the website, and apparently it's conflicting with some of the security attachments on the website, and it's fucking it up, for lack of a better word. And so the hosting company says they can get to the bottom of it, and they're going to. If not, I'll have to put the old one back up and figure something else out. So we thought it was going to go right. It did go right in, and then it didn't. So and the nice thing is like, now there are some wonderful website designers, and we certainly talk to them. And I'm all for, I will hire people to do different things, but we don't hire people to do our own coding. And when it comes to the website and our own trading, we would prefer to do it ourselves, so that if we need to make changes, we need to do something, we can do it immediately. The trading, as a member to Stock Market Caddy, please understand, you will need to step up and trade your own game, right? We will take you through the Q school. We'll be there as a support, but you really do. And we want that and encourage that. You don't have to do your own coding, but if you want to, we don't dissuade that, right? And we have a number of software engineers that would take to this like a duck to water. And it's great, it's great. But you will have to, it doesn't, we maintain a pretty strong intensity during the Q school, but then it has to back off because we got to do our own trading. And then we have new people coming in and it's not what we're set up to do anyways, right? It isn't, that Don is going to be coaching you every day for the rest of your trading life. I can't do that. And you don't want that anyways, but we will get you underway. And our members can patch into us through Zoom from a support standpoint. So let's say they want something or need something, or, they know where to get hold of us. I hope that makes sense. So, so she's market is, pull back again, and that's doing a beautiful thing. We look at the 5 minute on the VIX. The 5 minute VIX has been short since 10:30, which means that there's just, even at a 5 minute level, there's just no fear in the market. And the 5 minute ES went long at 235 in the time we were here. And, it's up 150, was up much more, obviously. And then the NQ, 225 up 400. This is on a 5 minute basis. But there's just no fear. But we got a nice little wave, right? We got a nice pullback. We put this in. Now I traded for this to deposit something in the account. I took this trade at just after noon. We had a $12 draw, and I took it on a pullback on the ES off of the swing machine, and we deposited that. And then this is running a program, and I'm just going to let it run. Now, you might be wondering, like, well, wait a minute here. That was up $1,200. I'm taking that money. You certainly could, but in the beginning, we will encourage you not to, so that you can learn to let the machine handle it and see what it's capable of doing. That takes some time, that takes some patience, and there are some steps that you have to do, because you have to learn to trust it a little bit, not blindly, but trust it a little bit. And you don't want to be grinding emotionally with the money, because even though the machine's doing it, if you're still grinding emotionally with the money, you'll still be grinding emotionally with the money, and you'll over manage the thing and not let it go. This particular strategy doesn't trade a lot, so you might say, well, I was up 1,200 and it's come all the way back, and I could have been up 1,200. But what you don't know, and I do know from the back test on this strategy, that this strategy, when left alone, could go up as much as $5,000 or $10,000. It did on the long side, and it could be in there for a day or two. So but that sort of thing, that is like flying a plane. You learn how to do touch and goes, and you take a plane up on a nice sunny day, and you do touch and goes. But you're going to want to learn to not trade, but fly the plane in bad weather or at night, and trust your instruments. You're probably going to have to learn how to do that on a sunny day, not by yourself, and not at night in bad weather in the mountains. Probably not a good idea, right? Right. So you've got to, and that's where we can help a pilot, a new piloting trader, learn to take these little baby steps, these little steps to getting to where they need to go. They may not appreciate it in the beginning, but long term they will. They will. Everyone, we all go through the same thing. And any case, so I kind of rambled on. We're going to let you watch. It's pushing about 3 o'clock. We'll try to let this go here. And Frank, thanks for your question. If anybody else got any other questions or you want us to put it in, and there is some information on the website that you can see, but please understand the website looks kind of ugly. It's white right now, the background, it's not properly loading. But there's still some information there that you could glean. And like I say, I won't beat a dead horse there. Hopefully I have that up. Very, very frustrating that I didn't expect it to be an issue there, but it's I'm at their mercy. If you go to the video this morning, literally, oh, you're very welcome, Robert. um, oh, Robert Guerrero, Robert, yep, yeah, you're very welcome. We were literally doing the live thing, and it went long. I don't know, I think it was like 9:40 or so, 9:45, the NQ, and we were commenting on it, saying, "Boy, it's strong to the rest of the market." And that trade was up. We didn't take it. We didn't take it. The machine that was already in it, the strategy, but it ran up $4,000. $4,000. I was getting text messages from some of our members like, "Can you believe it?" You know, and it happens all the time. It really does. It happens all the time. It's you know, it just is what it is, right? I don't think when you're flying a plane, you just kind of, and I'm not a pilot, right? But I love to watch the pilot podcasts and stuff because this feels like a dashboard to me. And I don't stare at it, right? You might, if you're seeing it for the first time, but I don't. I just give it a glancing view. I've got other charts that I can watch and other things. And I'm starting to look at, I'll start looking at relationships, between the dollar and gold and interest rates. We have views on that, right? We can only show you so much here. But I glance at the swing machine as a dashboard. But it's I would imagine as a pilot, if you're doing it for the first time, you probably, they call it flying under the hood. You probably got to be like really, really focused, and it's probably exhausting. And probably pretty stressful too, right? But after you've done it, a couple hundred times, and I guess that's why they land on aircraft carriers at night, right? And I like watching some of those things, and they trust in their gauges and shit, and you get you do get a feel, you do get a flavor. We have a member that I don't know if he's of late been trading it, but he's got more experience trading nat gas than I certainly do. Trades nat gas, and he would always say like, "Oh, nat gas is terrible at night to trade." Some markets are good at night, some aren't. And it'd be like, certain times of the day, it's just terrible. Susan likes to trade coffee like in the morning, so you get to appreciate those various markets. And but this idea that you're gonna that I'm going to take $40,000 and put it into Boston Scientific for a day or two, that's nuts. I'm not going to do that. It's not very tax. It's not a good use of capital. It's not very tax efficient, and it just isn't. See, as we trade intraday, one of the things that we're really, really interested in, the thing is most valuable to us is the liquidity. We need liquidity, right? You need to be able to get in and get out. That's what now, not to hose real estate, right? But, shied away from real estate because, may not have the liquidity that I need and want, right? Or I think I want. It can dry up. But we can come into these markets and we can be in and out with a touch of a button for very little. I mean, the transaction cost and then the slippage is very little. So liquidity is really important. And then in the further out, so we will, when we're trading intraday on a short-term basis, we will use margin, and we will use it responsibly. We will use it in proportion. We will be respectful of it, and we will use it. to our advantage. It's a beautiful thing. It's a gift. It really is. It's beautiful, but can be abused, right? Don't want to abuse it. As we go further out in time, maybe as you go from a 1 minute to a 5 minute to a 60 minute, maybe we don't trade a mini, maybe we trade 5 micros. Maybe if we go to a daily setting, maybe we trade a micro. Maybe if we go to 30 days or 45 days, we don't even trade futures. We trade options. Right? We reduce the leverage. We reduce our exposure. And if we're going that far out, liquidity is still important to us, but we don't have to have super liquidity, right? So we want the options to be liquid, but it still may take us 15 to 20 minutes to get the damn price we want, right? You got to give the mid price, and you don't want to get ripped off, $200-300 or whatever. Make sense? We always get a kick out of these people and you've seen and you've heard them on CNBC that come out and they'll say, that guy Tom Lee, hey Judge Wapner, so Tom, tell us where do you see the S&P on December 31st of next year? Well, I think we're trading at, and I think the economy's doing really good, and I think everyone's doing good, and everyone's going to Disney, and everyone's flying in planes, and I think the S&P is going to go to 5,500. Right? You're like, oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Tom. He goes, yeah, no, of course, Judge, I'm not a very good market timer. I can't tell you where the market's going to be, tomorrow, but in 8 months, 10 months, I can tell you where it's going to be. Oh, okay. As though it's easier. Think about that. It isn't. That should be a red flag. If he doesn't know what the market's going to do tomorrow, how the hell does he know where it's going to be 12 months from now? It's not any easier. If it is, go and try and buy an option. Get an option on the S&P that expires tomorrow, and get an S&P that expires in 12 months. Which one are you going to pay more for? One in 12 months. A lot more uncertainty, a lot more things at risk. So it's bullshit is what it is. And now we come full circle. So if some of these tools and some of this discussion, unfortunately, yet we don't have enough members yet on YouTube where I could actually take phone calls and chat, and I'd be happy to do that. So help us spread the word, and we get the views. We get the numbers, but we just don't have the number of views yet. And I'd love to be able to have a conversation with people as you come through. I'm very, I think it's great. I love that sort of thing, but maybe one day. And but if it resonates with you, I don't see anybody. I do not see anyone. And we do check, the Twitter sphere and so forth. I don't see anyone doing what we're doing or saying what we're saying at all. I see everyone doing more or less the same thing. There's one guy, I won't say who it is. He seems like he's a nice enough guy. And I love this. You guys probably get a kick out of it. And in fact, I got to go find it. Let me go find it. It's so funny. He does these factoids, and they're totally meaningless, but I don't pick on him because why do that, right? It doesn't, if that's what he does. And he's probably got thousands of followers, and I think he's a manager of money. And let me see if I can find it. He posts this shit, and it's always of the same thing. It's so ridiculous that I'm going to have to read it as an example. I won't give you his name because I don't want to do that. But like I say, he's just trying to make a living, and God love him. I think if I can find it. Let's see. This sort of thing used to bother me years ago because, we were being told by so many people that what we were doing was wrong, and I was defensive about it. And now I just don't give a shit. So I can't find them, but oh well. Let me see if I can find an old one. He just put it out, and it's like it's hysterically funny. Well, he'll put out something and he'll say like, um, literally, you know, today is Wednesday, and if you go back over the last 100 years when the S&P was trading on Wednesdays between 3 and 4, and the temperature was 80 degrees in Tampa, and such 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 of all this shit that's got nothing to do with nothing. And then he'll reach a conclusion and say, and 97% of the time, the market will be up, for the rest of the year. And it's like every single time. Of course, it's never to the downside. It's never to the downside. It's always buy, buy, buy. It always is. And I hope you all know, I'm assuming everyone knows why that is, right? Because if there's anybody that's coming by here and hearing this, and they're not a trader, and they have their retirement money in the market, and they hear me talking like this, they are going to get the worst case of indigestion and gas, and they're going to just be gone in a New York minute. They don't want to hear it. And they certainly, and I'm not recruiting, I'm not trying to gather assets, but these people, I call, they're asset gatherers. They need and want people's money to put into the market so they can get, a percentage of it. And then they go to the mall and, pick their nose all afternoon and do nothing. And they get a fat check. Right. So that's why that is. Right. So they never tell you to sell. They just, they blue sky you. Oh yeah, you got to get in the market. Got to get in. You got to get in. So anyhow, does that make sense? It's a carnival game. It's a carnival barker. It reminds me of, when we were kids, right? Be like, hey, come on over here, look it. And the guy's like holding the basketball, and he tosses the softball into the basket. And like, oh yeah, toss it in, toss it in. And then you try to do it and you can't, um, that's what they're doing. We want you to have an opportunity. Any strategy, any can have a good trade or a good afternoon or a good day or a good week. You need an opportunity to hone it over time. And there are some tools that are available to you, namely leaving early, leaving the market early. Start your day early. Start your week early. End your day early. End your week early. And it's a huge advantage. It's huge. And it's psychologically huge. And you just don't overstay your welcome. And you can really, because one of the other risk parameters is time in the market. Right. If you're trying to cross I-95, maybe you can do it, 2 or 3 times in a day. Right. But you try to do it 15 to 30 times in a day, you may get winged, you may get hit. If I'm trading manually, I'm making a decision to put a trade on, as I did here. I don't want to do more than 4 or 5 of them in a day, max. If I have a machine trading, I don't care how little or how often it trades, because it's trading. It's trading. So there are these little techniques that have to be, we try to make you aware. We look here at the time we've been on here. This was at less than an hour. So at 2:35, if you took the 5 minute long, yeah, you're up 262, 225, almost 600, 240. Now we're not trading swing machine, right? We're not. We're doing something. I'm just letting that, I'm not trying to demonstrate anything. I'm not. I don't come on here to demonstrate winning, trades. We're just showing you what's possible and giving you a glimpse. So, but we can program this, and we can train any aspect of swing machine too, by the way. And this isn't the only tool. We have about 70 different radars, strategies, paint bars, things of that sort. Well, and we're going to need to kind of wrap up here. We'll let you watch until the bottom of the hour, and then we're going to need the resources of the computer, but we thought we'd come back and give everybody a glimpse. We had a nice little sell down, and we'll see where they want to go here at the end of the day. If you have any questions, you're welcome. Frank, thanks for reaching out. Robert, the same. And I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, no, the website is up, but it's not. It's a bright white, and so it's not all the cells are populating, but some of the information is there. So, and they still don't have it fixed yet. Frustrating. By the way, I don't know if folks, are familiar with futures, but to trade a futures contract, the ES futures contract, you're looking at about between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 in the afternoon. It's about $1,500, 1,500. So I mean, if you trade one of these and you pick up, $300 and you use 1,500 on a percentage basis, that's pretty good efficient use of capital, right? Now we keep score using something called profit factor, but now if you are trading outside of those hours, you've got to have more capital. You start carrying things overnight, or you're trading in the off hours, the risk is greater, and the brokerages want you to have more capital. But these are mini contracts, right? Micro contracts are even less, but they're 1/10 the size. So you wouldn't be up 325, you'd be up $32.50. You wouldn't be up 600, you'd be up 60, which is a nice thing and a nice level to learn. They didn't always have these micros. When we started, you had to trade minis. Now, we weren't trading the swing machine, but in 63 minutes, it's delivered 887, 60 minutes, 1180, 66 minutes, 730, 64 minutes, almost 500, 24 minutes, 100, 67 minutes, 250. Your job is to get these fish in the boat. And using, you can use any number of tools, but if you were trading, now we're not using this particular tool, we're keeping it present, but we did use it to put that in, right? We just got one of them. You can't get them all. We're not going to get every single 1 minute trade, but we just get our share. But it's also given us the luxury of letting this strategy continue to run itself out. And we wanted to be able to breathe. If it runs on and it's still in the trade tonight, this trade that's on up there, that could be in the trade tomorrow. And you may be bemoaning the fact, well, why didn't you take the 1200? But later tonight or tomorrow, that thing could be up 5 or 6 grand. Entirely possible. So I want to let the machine run it if I can. If you are constantly reacting to the money and only the money, then it's next to impossible to become a machine trader, because you'll just be imposing your own fears and greed on top of the machine, and you can't do that. So just like flying a plane, if you're going to fly instruments, you got to fly the instruments. You start listening to your inner ear, you start trading. Well, I think I see the horizon, or I think we're going up, or I think we're going down, and you're not relying on your instruments. Then you're gonna, as JFK Jr. found out, you're gonna have a problem. Okay, so we're going to need to say goodbye on YouTube. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube for free and on Twitter for free. If you want to be sent notifications when we go live, let us know. And if you have any questions, give us a shout. And we wish you the best. And um, yeah, I mean, the market is the market. She goes up, she goes down, she goes down, she goes up. That's about it, man.